afternoon, everybody.
Howdy.
Welcome to Deadwood. Yeah, welcome to the world famous Saloon number 10. Now, this is the only museum in the world with a bar in it. I know. Hey, you know that's why I hang out here. I love museums. Geez, tough crowd. Well, anyway, I know why you're all here today. You're to watch me play some cards, right? Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to do that for you. First, I'm going to tell you some stories about myself and how I came to be the man you know me as today. And also how I ended up here in Deadwood. And, well, I can tell you it's going to be pretty tough to concentrate on them stories with these cards sitting all idle like that back here, but I'll do my best. Now, when I do get ready to play cards, I'll ask for 4 volunteers out of y'all. If you want to come up here and play some cards with me, you gotta wait till I ask, then raise your hand up high and go, "Pick me!" And then I might pick you. Alright, y'all know who I am?
Yep.
Wild Bill Hickok, exactly right. Well, James Butler Hickok. Most folks nowadays, they do like to call me Wild Bill. And like I said, I'm going to tell you some stories about myself. May as well start from the beginning. I was born in Troy Grove, Illinois, May 27th of 1837. Quick, how old's that make me? 39, exactly right. Good job, you guys. Now, I am going to skip over a little bit because I really don't think you'd probably recognize me till about 1865. The Civil War had just ended, and, well, I did fight during the Civil War. I was a scout, a spy, and a sharpshooter for the Northern Army. But when the war did end, I was just like everybody else. I needed work. So I took off looking for work. I headed west. Well, I didn't get too far west before I stopped at my first town, a place called Springfield, Missouri. Now, Springfield is more of just a stopping point for me, but I did find a card game right away, and, well, if you don't know anything else about me, surely you know that I ain't passing me up a good game of poker. Now, in this game, I played with a fella by the name of Davis Tutt. And Davis, he was a southern boy, and of course I fought for the North during the war, so how we got along well enough to sit across the table from each other, I have no idea. Man, that guy really did not like me at all. But we managed, and we did play for a couple days. Unfortunately, I ended up owing him about $35. Now, $35 being quite a sum of money that I didn't have, and Davis really wanting some collateral, well, I didn't know what I was going to do. All I had was an old pocket watch that my daddy had given me, and I wasn't about to give that up. But Davis, he was relentless. He wanted something to ensure him that he was getting his money back. So, reluctantly, I did end up giving him that pocket watch, but I told him, I said, "Now, Davis, don't be going around telling everybody how you took that from me in a card game, because that ain't how it happened. That watch means a whole lot more to me than $35, and I'm getting it back." Well, the very next day, here's Davis Tutt in the streets of Springfield, swinging that watch around, bragging to everybody, taunting me with it. Oh, I yelled at him across the town square, told him to knock it off, but he didn't want to listen. He yells back at me, I yell back at him. Then what's he do? He pulls out a gun and he takes a shot at me. Landed right at my feet. Well, if you know anything about the West, you don't take a shot at somebody unless you expect one coming right back at you. And I don't miss. I lined up at Davis 75 yards across that town square with my .36 caliber black powder pistol. Bam! One shot, right through the heart. Well, the authorities there in Springfield were none too happy with me shooting a fella down in their streets. And they arrested me. They told me that I was liable for the death of Davis Tutt. Well, I said, what about self-defense? He shot first. Yeah, all the witnesses on his side said he was just funning around. He really wasn't shooting at me. You know, I'm quite sure he don't think it's too fun anymore. Well, the judge saw it my way. Self-defense. I was acquitted there in Springfield, but I did figure it was about high time I got out of town. Now, as I'm leaving town, I run into another fellow who just happened to be at that gunfight, and he saw the whole thing. He was a writer by the name of Henry Nickel. Now, Mr. Nickel, he wrote for Harper's Monthly. He wrote a lot of them dime novels out there on the East Coast. Said he wanted to do an interview with me. Said the people out there, they needed a hero of the new frontier, and, well, I guess he was going to make me it. Now, in this interview, I did tell him some stories about myself, and yeah, maybe I did exaggerate just a tad, but not nearly as much as he did. By the time he told that story, he had me killing around 100 people. Can you believe that? It was more like less than a half a dozen at this point, but it did make me famous. I went from being James Butler Hickok to being Wild Bill Hickok, the Prince of the Pistoliers, the greatest gunfighter the West has ever seen. Then, while the fame was nice, it kind of put a target on my back. Now every guy that had a gun wanted to be the guy that shot down the greatest gunfighter, and, well, I had to be extra cautious from then on. I still need to get out of Springfield. Though acquitted, they were not happy about it, and, well, I still needed work, so I took off and I headed west again. I traveled across Kansas doing odd jobs just to survive. I drove a little freight for a while, scouted all over that place, and as I'm out there scouting, I noticed a few things. I noticed a lot of small towns were sprouting up out there. Yeah, it seemed like everybody just kind of headed west on this big land grab, you know? Well, I also noticed a lot of them towns, they didn't have any law in them to speak of. Kind of gave me an idea, maybe I should be a lawman. So that's what I did. And I cleaned up a lot of towns across Kansas, places like Fort Riley, Wichita, Hays City, now a couple more, till I ended up in Abilene, Kansas. Now, see, Abilene, it was a rough cattle town. One of the roughest there was. And the cattle drives, they'd come through there, they'd bring all sorts of outlaws and ruffians with them. They'd shoot up the town, scare the daylights out of the good folks there just trying to make a life for themselves. The people of Abilene, well, they were more than happy when they heard the great Wild Bill Hickok had taken the job as their marshal and was going to clean that place up. I got there, I laid down some new ground rules. Do not bring your guns to town. Certainly don't be shooting them off in city limits. But there was this guy. There's always this guy, right? Yeah. Fella by the name of Phil Coe. Phil, he was a Texas cattleman. He bought a bar there in Abilene, and I guess he had a little problem with my authority. See, I was a marshal. I laid down the rules and I enforced them. And Phil, he didn't want to follow the rules. He just wanted to argue with me about them all the time. Day in, day out, every day it was something new with that guy, and, well, I think we all know how them arguments is going to turn out. They're going to come to a head someday, and this one was no different. See, I'm sitting in the saloon early one evening, you know, having a drink, minding my own business, winding down from a long day's work, and I hear this ruckus in the street. People are screaming and hollering, guns are going off everywhere. I run outside to investigate, and who is it? It's Phil Coe and all his friends shooting up the town, scaring everybody. much like Davis, I yelled at him to knock it off too, but he didn't want to listen either. Pretty soon we got this big shouting match going on, and, well, Phil reaches for his pistol. Big mistake. I'm quicker. I saw him reach for his, reached from under him first, bam, shot him dead right there. But, like I said, he had all those friends with him. And they all had guns too. I'm by myself. I'm on the defensive. I looked up at them all and I yelled, "Who wants the rest of these?" Nobody said a word. Till I heard somebody yell my name from back in the alley. I turned quick, shot again. Oh, I shot my deputy, Mike Williams. Oh, some of you guys are laughing. Let me try that again. I shot my friend, my deputy. It's a little late for that, but thanks anyway. Jeez. You folks in here got a real sick sense of humor. It was a bad day. Well, I didn't much want to be a lawman anymore after that. So I gave it up, and I moved on. I bounced across Kansas again, doing the things I like to do, try and make myself feel a little better. I mean, sure, I had a drink or several, but I did find good card games about any town I went to. Now, at this point in my life, after I'd shot my deputy there in Abilene, my friends were worried about me. They said I was drinking way too much, spinning out of control, wasting my life away, and, well, they all wanted to give me a leg up of sorts. And when I run into Buffalo Bill Cody, I know y'all know who that is. Buffalo Bill and our other friend Texas Jack, they come on me and say, "Bill, we're taking a Wild West show out to the East Coast, and we would be honored if you would join us." Well, not doing much else at the time and really needing some money, I said, why not? Let's take that Wild West show out there and show them Easterners just how wild it really is out here. Truth be told, I didn't care for that. No, some people are showmen and some aren't. Buffalo Bill? Heck yeah, there's a showman for you. Me? No, not so much. You know, I did get into a little bit of trouble out there. See, my friend Buffalo Bill, he didn't think it was right that I was drinking and carrying on during the shows, and, well, he took my liquor away. I'm here to tell you, it made me rather ornery. I shot the lights out of some of the venues we played in, shot a couple of extras with blanks and started their pants on fire because I thought it was funny. Yeah, they didn't. I'd say by the end of it all, my good friend Buffalo Bill regretted every minute of taking me with on that tour. So I saved him the trouble of firing me and I quit. Oh, the West was calling me again anyhow. I had to get back out here. I ended up over there in Cheyenne, Wyoming territory. Now when I got to Cheyenne, well, I found me a card game right away because that's just what I do. I played for a couple days, was doing pretty good. I look up from the table and in walks a lady friend. Agnes Lake. Now, see, I'd known Agnes for years, and when we got back together, it was like we'd never been apart at all. And, well, I guess I could tell you folks, I was rather fond of Agnes, and, well, after sitting down with her for a while, talking and catching up a bit, I found out she was fond of me too, so I asked her to marry me. You know what she said? No, what do you mean no? Yeah, you know she didn't say no. That was a 50-50 softball question. But you really got to tell the story and she said no. She said yes. Oh, we had a nice little wedding there in Cheyenne, and I whisked her away on a honeymoon to Cincinnati. Now, you guys are laughing about Cincinnati over there? Well, we did honeymoon in Cincinnati for a short spell, but Agnes, she had work there. She was running a circus by this time, and well, I had to get back out here. So I left her there and I headed back west. And I figured to myself, Cheyenne seemed like a right fine town, and maybe that's where I'll go start working on a fortune so me and Agnes can retire. Turns out, Cheyenne was not nearly as good to me as I'd initially hoped. Now, I went on this long streak of bad luck, you see. I lost all my money at the card tables. I ended up penniless in the streets of Cheyenne. You know what they did to me? They arrested me! They told me I was a vagrant! They told me either leave Cheyenne right now or you'll spend the rest of your time here in the jailhouse. Not wanting to spend a whole bunch of time in the Cheyenne jail, I did heed them warnings and I left. As I got to the outskirts of town, I ran into this big wagon train. Oh, biggest one I'd ever seen. I look up front and who's running that thing? None other than my best friend, Colorado Charlie Utter. You guys know Colorado Charlie? Oh, I got one guy nodding his head and one yep out of the whole crowd. Come on, guys. Is that it? That's two of you? Oh, I got three. Oh, boy, he's famous. Half the building's named after him. I don't know, maybe pick up a book every once in a while. No. Charlie and I, we've been best friends ever since I was a sheriff in Hays City. And when he saw me on the edge of town like that, he got this big grin on his face. He says, Bill! Get on this wagon train with us. Huge gold strike in the Black Hills of Dakota Territory. I tell you what, you come with us, I got a gold claim up there. You can work the claim, I'll drive freight back and forth, and we'll split the money 50-50. Well, being that was for me there in Cheyenne, that was not a hard decision to make. I hopped that wagon train with him. All sorts of fine folks on there, over 200 of them. 70 plus wagons all filled with goods for this town right here. Now we headed north out of Cheyenne, spent about a week out on the prairie before we pulled up at Fort Laramie. Now, when we got to the fort, they were excited to see us. Well, at least the colonel was anyway. He come running right out the wagon train, says, fellas, so good to see you guys. You gotta help me out here. Since these women showed up at the camp, I can't get a thing out of my guys. They don't get sleep at night. They're staying up all night drinking and carousing with these women. Get them out of here, please. And we look over and there's Dirty M and Madam Mustache. Oh, you guys laughing about Madam Mustache? No, that grin says everything. Sorry. Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything. We'll just keep it. No, she's a mutual friend.
Yeah, exactly.
A little tidbit was there, and well, this other scrungy looking fella actually turned out not to be a fella at all. I think you know what I'm talking about though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Calamity Jane. Now I also know you've been starting and spreading some rumors about myself and Calamity maybe somehow being romantically involved. Not true. Come on now. Didn't I just tell you all I was married? Man, them rumors get back to Agnes. I'm in all sorts of trouble. Besides, you ever seen Calamity? But she looks like a man, dresses like one, drinks like one, curses like one, spits like one, smells like one. Yeah, no thanks. I like them a bit more feminine than that. But you know, I probably shouldn't talk bad about Calamity, though, because, well, for whatever problems she may or may not have, you know what? She's got a heart of gold. Because if you've got a problem, and Calamity Jane is anywhere around, she'll help you out, I guarantee it, just the kind of person she is. And we did get to be friends. They all got on that wagon train with us. Another week and a half later, we pull up on the edge of town out here. We look down over this gulch, and it stinks something fierce. It was dirty and muddy and nasty. One street, Main Street, the horses, the cattle, the oxen, they'd all go down that street and do their business. It was mud and muck on the main street about that deep. It never dried. It stunk and it was gross. But the people didn't care. No, they didn't come here for how it smelled or how it looked. You know why they came here, right? Gold, and lots of it. They were flooding here by the thousands seeking their fortune. I was no different. I mean, I wanted my fortune too. I knew I had a working gold claim out there. I went right out and I started working it. And I worked it hard for about 3 hours. Yeah, I found out real fast that that gold mining was not for me. But Deadwood, being what it is, all the people, the gold, the saloons, the gambling halls, yeah, it didn't take me long to find something else to do in this town. I'm downtown playing cards. Well, now I go, I shouldn't have looked at them cards again. I guess story time's over. I need 4 volunteers out of y'all. I got 1 right there. I got 2. I got 3. I got 4. Come on. All right, come on back.
Good kids.
Let's see. Charlie Rich, you're over there. Captain Massey, you're right there. Carl, man, you own this place. You're right here. You're my bartender. Very young.
Way to go, Richie.
Very young. All right. Tell you what. Yeah, don't worry about the laws. They're way different now. I'm gonna have a talk with these fellas. I know what it's like to play cards here in Deadwood, and I'm pretty sure they know. They look all seasoned to me. Who's this fella? He's gonna tell you all about what's going on in this town right now. Not you guys. I wouldn't.
Not you guys.
Feel up for it. All right. First of all, thank y'all for helping me out. Really do appreciate it. It's really simple. Here's how it's all gonna go down.
Hi folks, and welcome to the Old Style Saloon number 10. In a few moments, you'll step back in time to witness what happened on that fateful day, August 2nd, 1876, when Wild Bill Hickok was gunned down by crooked-nosed Jack McCall. The employees of the number 10 will set the scene for you, so sit back, hang on to your sarsaparilla, and we'll start from the beginning. It was during the latter part of August 1875. Frank Bryant and a party of 7 gazed down into a gulch of tangled, broken trees, which from then on was to be known as Deadwood Gulch. They made their way to the bottom and began to pan for gold. Soon the cry of gold echoed up and down the canyon walls. They hastily built a crude cabin east of their find, but nevertheless went on to prospect throughout the northern hills, only to return on November 8, 1875, to post a claim of their discovery. On the very next day, November 9, 1875, a second group filed a claim just short of 3 miles up the creek. This outlined a stretch that was destined to become known as the richest placer claim area, not only in North America, but the entire Western Hemisphere. As news of this bonanza leaked out, the rush was on, resulting in a flood of mankind from all directions. The army could no longer stop the invasion of the fortune hunters.
Don't worry, guys. Your list is not nearly that long.
By August 2nd of 1876, Deadwood Gulch, now known as Deadwood City, and often referred to as Sin City, had acquired a worldwide reputation as a booming metropolis. Its surrounding hills and creeks were loaded with gold. Even greenhorns were said to be able to find nuggets, well, as they put it, bigger than horse turds. Its streets were lined with substantial businesses, offering everything from an opera house to dance halls, saloons and banks, stores of every sort, but mainly saloons and gambling dens. Deadwood Gulch was jam-packed with every variety of mankind, good and bad. The likes of Wild Bill Hickok,
You own this place, Carl. Yeah, it's a really nice place you got here. Thanks for hosting the game.
California Joe, and Preacher Smith. Somewhere between 4,000 to 6,000 of them. They came with greed or lust and high ideals, but the frenzied excitement that Deadwood provided well satisfied their pioneer spirits. Two guys named Nuttall and Mann couldn't picture themselves seeking their fortune as prospectors, and instead built a house on their placer claim, number 10, which became known as Saloon number 10. On the morning of August 2nd, 1876, Harry Young was tending bar in the number 10. His hair was greased,
ready?
as was customary for
ready?
bartenders and
Alright, deal those cards out,
this
please.
was
Five
essential
cards
as
draw.
part of a method used by bartenders to collect a little extra loot for
Alright,
themselves.
deal them out. Place the 5
Before
card
reaching
draw. I'll be
into a
right back with you.
prospector's poke for a pinch of gold to collect for a given whiskey, the bartender would rub his fingers through his greasy hair, thus oiling them well. He would deposit the unoiled gold dust into the boss's take, and by again rubbing his fingers through his hair, redeposit the oily flakes where it could be washed out later. It's said that there was a bald-headed barkeep who was known to have half a dozen hair pieces, all well oiled. His take was enormous, as the laundering process was more efficient. The dance hall girls had arrived on Colorado Charlie Utter's wagon train in late June, ready and willing to entertain the thousands of eligible prospectors. Some came with hopes of finding the right man. Others came simply to make their own fortune. Their attire, somewhat more revealing than what was thought to be proper, was looked down upon by those trained in ladylike etiquette, but nonetheless, they brought to the gold rush an air of reckless, dazzling excitement. By August 2nd, 1876, they were well established up and down Deadwood City's main street, working around the clock in one fashion or the other. Honky-tonk piano and their songs of promising spirit filled the air. Many an unlucky prospector could find hope for tomorrow, for he knew what the night would bring.
Afternoon, fellas. How's the
At
game
3
going?
o'clock in the afternoon, Wild Bill Hickok entered Saloon
I'll tell you
number
what.
10,
Deal me in. I'll be
seeking
there in a
little
second. I
ticker
gotta
action.
get a drink first.
Charlie Rich, a
Mary,
gambler
how's
from
your day
Cheyenne,
going? Pretty good. How's
Carl
yours?
Mann, owner of
Bring you
Saloon
one to
number
the
10,
house.
and Captain Massey,
good stuff?
a riverboat captain from Missouri,
Absolutely.
were
I know you
engaged in
like
a
it.
game
There
of
it
draw
is,
poker
Terry.
and were quick to invite Bill to join them.
Alright. Not bad, Harry.
Wild
Hey.
Bill's reputation
Appreciate that.
demanded that he be exceedingly cautious. For instance,
What are
he
you
never
doing in
liked
my
to sit
chair,
with his back
Charlie?
to the door.
This is
The
my
vacant
lunch
seat
chair.
was so located.
I don't care
and a
how
lively
lucky you
debate
think it
between
is. You
Charlie
know
Rich
I
and
sit
Bill
there. Get
resulted
out.
in an attempt on Bill's part to
Charlie,
get Charlie's
I
chair.
am not messing around with you. Get out of my chair.
No, you sit right there.
No, I'm sitting there. Get out of that chair,
No.
Bill
Charlie.
was not
No,
given his
sit right
request
there.
and grudgingly,
You play
with
cards.
great hesitation, took the empty chair. But after a few minutes, he stood up and again asked
Dang, Charlie,
for
I
his
can't
chair.
sit here. You know it. Now get out of that chair now.
Sit right there, or else.
Bill didn't win
you
this argument either,
play
and on this
these
rare
cards.
occasion, he settled down,
Fine.
sitting with his back to
I'll
the
take
door.
your money and I'll take your
Wearing
chair,
this, though,
Charlie.
kept Bill alert.
What's
For
the
all
matter
knew
with
him
this
to
guy,
be a
Carl?
left-handed drinker,
Been
bending
that
his
way all
right hand
day?
free to handle his pistol.
You've been sitting here this
As
entire
unpredictable
time.
as card games are, Bill found
All
himself
right.
quickly losing to
Got you
Massey,
15
who had lost to
from Harry.
Bill the night before.
Thank you. Appreciate
Bill
that.
asked Harry for
Who dealt this
$15
man?
worth of pocket
You
checks. Harry brought them
No.
over to Bill and
Who dealt?
returned to the bar and his
Oh,
duties.
you dealt. Carl dealt. Your bet. Bet him up there, Captain. Might as well throw them
Soon,
all
a
in there.
shifty
but pay
drifter
for it
known as
anyway.
Jack McCall entered the saloon.
Hold on a
Bill
second, I
quickly
gotta
turned
check
while
here.
loading his gun. Recognizing McCall as a newcomer to town, he greeted him with a friendly,
Howdy, Jack.
then reholstered his gun and resumed
He
the
was in
game.
here last night playing cards. I
Jack
can't
slowly
believe he
circled
came
the
back
table,
today.
pausing briefly behind each player and analyzing each hand.
What are you looking at? We don't need you lurking. Get out of here, kid. Get!
You know, I talk to you like that.
Not him,
Wild
you!
Bill's
Get
attention was
out!
on Massey. There was a friendly argument between them, and Wild Bill remarked,
Alright, everybody bet. What'd you bet? 4? 4 to you.
upon returning
How about
directly
shut up?
That's
behind
not
Wild
enough. I'm gonna
Bill,
make it
suddenly
8.
Jack
Stick
McCall,
around for 8, Carl.
Fine.
Ah!
the bullet struck
Take
Bill
that,
in the back of the
dang you.
head, coming out his left cheek, and lodged in Captain Massey's left arm.
Just move.
It was discovered soon after the cards Bill was holding were aces and eights, forever known as the dead man's hand. All fled the saloon except Carl Mann, who
Wild
was
Bill's
held at bay by McCall. Jack snapped the trigger of his gun several times. It failed to fire. He then ran out the door off the street. He was found hiding in a building behind a grocery shop. Later on in the day, he was tried in a miner's court. The jury, being tainted and influenced by a deceitful defense, found McCall not guilty, and he was released. This decision not only outraged the judge, but also the general populace. McCall left the camp in haste. Upon reaching supposed safety in Wyoming, he began bragging of his ignoble deed. Word of this reached the U.S. Marshal, who tracked McCall down, arrested him, and sent him to Yankton to be tried again in Dakota Territory. It was determined, since the first trial was held in Indian Territory, that it was not legal. McCall was found guilty and hung for his cowardly crime. He was buried in an unmarked grave on the edge of town. Later, as the town grew, the cemetery was moved. As the coffins were opened, one corpse was found with a rope around its neck. It was easily identified as Jack McCall, the assassin of Wild Bill.
Now let's every volunteer. Sorry about the wrist, Captain, and good job, bartender. Hey, we'll be up here in a little while. You guys like a picture with me or Jack over here? Come on up, don't be shy. Hey, not a spit tube, do not spit that thing. Thank y'all so much for coming to the world famous Lieutenant Joy this place, Deadwood Alive. They'll be on the streets again, 2 o'clock, first gunfight, right in front of the Outlaw Square. Hope to see y'all there. Have a great day, everybody.